Now, this may seem normal to an outsider, but Trent and I weren't all that friendly, a bit cocky, just not my type. Like I said, we were connected through mutual friends. We had a rather long conversation, most of which was devoted to his children and ex-wife. Apparently, they fought for custody and she won. There were moral standards written into the guardianship document, and he had heard that she was potentially violating some of the written rules. He felt that this was exactly what he needed to try to get custody of the children. His affection for his children made him seem a little more vulnerable, which was nice. Maybe I'm wrong about Trent. Maybe he's okay after all. Suddenly he asked where Anna was. We had a pretty tough conversation about his family, and now he's asking about Anna? I told him she was shopping, and we immediately started talking about his custody situation. 15 minutes later, Anna appears in a tiny bikini and scurries around behind a screen at the south end of the backyard, saying hello to Trent. She loves to sunbathe in minimalist clothes, and we have a nosy retired neighbor named Henry Anderson. Anderson is a good guy, the kind of guy who looks after your house when you're away and reports on everything that's going on in the neighborhood. In other words, good and reliable, just a little curious. He is also my client. That's why I put up the screen. Meanwhile, Trent stumbled as hard as he could to catch a glimpse of Anna. I led him back to the exit, ending our conversation. As he walked through the gate, he called out, "Need any help with the suntan lotion, Anna?" That's all. This made me remember another incident. After this incident with McAllister, things got better. In fact, everything was wonderful. I remembered this incident from time to time, but I had no reason to dwell on it. After this, our relationship entered a new phase. I guess I partly justified Anna's behavior by thinking that at that moment we were not committed to each other. At least this commitment has not yet been announced. Now we were devoted to each other. Anna was loving and gentle and really fun to be around. Have I had as deep discussions as I have with other girlfriends? To be honest, probably not. But we had fun, and sexually she was ready for anything. Moreover, she was beautiful. I was proud to be with her. When I was with her in public, I felt good to be around. She began asking gentle questions about our future and where we were headed in the long term. I thought about this myself. I'll make an analogy. I always imagined myself driving a Camry, and suddenly I found myself in a Porsche. I had this mental tug of war. One part of my brain said that she might not be the ideal match for me. All this fun was temporary, but not for long. The other side said, "Are you crazy? Every man's dream is to marry a goddess. What's your problem?" I think the argument that broke the camel's back was this. If I broke up with Anna, would any other woman be able to compare physically or sexually with her? Until now in my life, no one has even come close. Plus, I loved her breasts. They are amazing. I proposed to her, and in addition to the ring, I also surprised her with tickets to a Caribbean vacation. Anna was delighted. She loved the ring, and the trip was only a few weeks away. Anna called her mom in California to let her know, and she also called and had a long chat with Sally. I called my parents and told them, and they seemed happy for me, but a little hesitant. "Are you sure about this?" said Dad. "Of course. Why the question?" "Well, this is a big step. Anna is a wonderful girl. I'm very happy for you," he replied. I thanked him, but later thought that there seemed to be some hesitation in his enthusiasm. The resort was amazing. There was a swimming pool, plenty of bars and restaurants on site, and its own private beach with sun loungers and umbrellas. They also had a beach sports hut where you can rent kayaks, jet skis, and other water activities. Once we got there, we changed into our swimsuits for a walk on the beach. Anna had 3 types of bikinis: hot, tight, and micro. I told her that the micro was just for me. "We'll see," she giggled. We grabbed drinks from the beach bar and walked along this beautiful crescent of white sand, fringing the clear blue water. Anna was wearing a hot bikini with a sheer white blanket that covered almost nothing. Men and women looked at her, and I was proud to be with her. We headed back and had a casual dinner at the pool bar. 2 more strong rum drinks, and we headed to the room. We watched the sunset from our balcony, both a little drunk. She stood leaning against the railing, bent at the waist. I approached her from behind and stroked her shoulders. My hands reached out to her beautiful breasts. She purred with lust. This was all the support I needed. It was already getting dark, but anyone could see us if they looked in our direction. She groaned as she reached the finish line, and soon I followed her. From the other end of the complex, someone clapped their hands. The staff at the resort were very helpful. There was always someone there to get towels, give directions, see if we needed food or drink. And then there were the beach boys. They were young men, in their early 20s, patrolling the sun loungers on the beach. They probably worked mostly for tips. Their main clients were women over 40 who enjoyed the attention of young people. They brought drinks, towels, moved chairs or umbrellas, and, if asked, applied suntan lotion. Naturally, they were attracted to Anna in a bikini. For now, she's moved on to her skimpy bikinis. She looked very sexy. One of the beach boys Cruz always seemed to hang around. He had smooth golden skin, a lean build, and a sparkling white-toothed smile. One day we were walking along the beach, and I asked Anna if she wanted to ride a jet ski. "You're without me. I'm going to work on my tan," she said. "I have an hour-long training session on a jet ski." "Have fun and be careful." It was quite fun zipping around the ocean on a jet ski. It took just under an hour, and I was back on the beach. As I walked back to the lounge chairs, I saw Cruz looming over Anna. When I approached, he was massaging her bare back. It definitely made contact with the sides of the breasts. "What's going on here?" Cruz quickly stood up. "Mr. JT, I don't want Miss Anna to get a sunburn. She needs sunscreen on her back," he muttered. "I can take care of this myself, thank you," and he hurried away. "Anna, what the hell does this all mean?" I asked her quietly but firmly. I didn't want to make a scene on the beach, but the beach boy was clearly groping her. "What are you talking about?" "Your top is open. You have about 3/4 of an inch of material on your ass, and this teenager had easy access to your body. That's what I'm talking about." "Did he feel your breasts?" "Oh, honey, cool down. He may have touched the sides a little, but they're just for you." When she said that, it really turned me on. I guess I pushed aside the overly flirtatious behavior with Cruz and turned my thoughts to having sex with her as quickly as possible. I suggested a siesta. She knew what I really wanted. I had to carry a towel in front of me to hide my erection as we walked to our room. Eventually, heaven had to end, and we discussed wedding plans on the way home. Anna dozed off during the flight, and I reflected on what a wonderful trip it had been. The only thought that couldn't go away was about the Latino beach boy groping her breasts. After the weekend, when Trent came to stay with us, life went on. The work was intense and rewarding for me. The money I was making wasn't bad. I did most of my own research, and my money seemed to be growing well. Anna also worked at Luca's bar, but usually worked lunch shifts as a waitress. This allowed us to spend most of our evenings together. Anna didn't really have to work, but she liked it, and I think she liked having her own money. As summer began, Anna and Sally started talking about the couple's next meeting. After the Truth or Dare party at our house, I was hoping that maybe these parties would start to die. After much talking and planning, it was decided that the next party would be at Trent and Jackie's, and it was scheduled for mid-July, a few weeks away. Weather permitting, it was supposed to be a pool party. When I heard this, I immediately said to Anna, "Not a single bikini from the Caribbean. I can wear red." "Absolutely not, no way. It's one thing for strangers to see you like this, but not our friends." She said nothing more about this, and in my opinion, the issue was resolved. On the Tuesday before the party, I got a frantic call from my mom. My father had a heart attack. He was at the county hospital, and they were going to have bypass surgery. I told my mother that I would come as soon as possible. I called Anna and told her what was happening. I popped into the house, grabbed an overnight bag for both of us, and we headed to my parents'. I had to control myself so as not to speed up on the way to the hospital. Anna took my hand to calm me down. I was worried about my father and also about my mother. My dad was a reliable force in our family, and my mom really needed his strength. Given that his health was in question, I was worried how she would hold up. By the time we got to the hospital and found my mom, things had improved significantly. My father had a mild heart attack. The bypass surgery was successful, and his prognosis for a full recovery was very positive. They wanted to keep Dad in the hospital until Thursday and then send him home. I stayed with him in the hospital on Tuesday evening, while Mom and Anna went back to the house to rest. They returned on Wednesday morning. My dad was really in a good mood, and when Mom and Anna arrived, he was lying in bed doing a crossword puzzle. We hung out there all day on Wednesday, and it was pretty boring. Anna was polite, but I knew she didn't want to stay in the hospital for long. I didn't really blame her. The hospital is a pretty depressing place. After we brought Dad home on Thursday, I told her I needed to stay, but why didn't she go home? She could take my car and either come back for me on the weekend, or I could take my dad's car. For some time, he had no intention of driving. "No, I'll stay with you," she said. "Thank you, Anna, I appreciate it, but you go home. I want them to get settled, and I just need to be with them for a few days." She reluctantly agreed and left on Thursday afternoon. Most of my day on Thursday was getting my dad settled, running to the grocery store, and just helping my mom as best I could. I also spent time with my dad, and we watched a few baseball games on TV. Boring, yes, but I was glad to be with my parents. On Friday, I called Anna, and she asked when I was going to come home. I told her that at least not until Sunday. How about a party? I completely forgot about this stupid party. "Sorry, honey. I need to be here with my parents. Are you going to go?" "I don't know. Sally wants me to go. And I think Jackie's sister and her boyfriend will come too." I didn't fully trust Trent, but knowing that there would be newbies in the group made me a little less worried about things getting too spicy like the last party at our house. "Okay, let me know what you decide to do. I'll call you tomorrow." On Saturday, my father was a little depressed. I think he overdid it on Friday and was tired. I hung out with him, and when he fell asleep, I fixed some things around the house to help my mom. Mom made me stop and have dinner. Dad was already asleep by this time. The next step was to move everything downstairs and put it on shelves for storage. When I have a project, I focus on it. Suddenly, I looked at my phone and saw that it was almost 10 o'clock. I needed to call Anna. "Hey, what's going on?" I heard some noise in the background. "Oh, hi, honey. I'm at Trent and Jackie's. We're having a good time. Dad is doing well and—" Just then, I heard a high-pitched scream and Anna started giggling. "What's happening?" "What, honey?" She began to laugh. "How much did you drink?" Dear, the connection is not very good. Can I call you Bay?" And then more background laughter. Suddenly, I clearly heard Trent say, "Take off that top too." And then another burst of laughter. Some muffled chatter. "Oh, this is getting even hotter," I thought Anna said. "What the hell is going on?" Somehow her phone went offline, but it is obvious that they were not playing a trivial chase. If I went now, it would already be after midnight. At this time, I was exhausted and didn't want to risk going home tonight. At the same time, I really needed to know what was going on. Suddenly, an idea came into my head: Henry Anderson. Since he was in my contacts, I called Henry. I explained that I needed some photos of what was going on at Trent and Jackie's. He was ready. I told him where they lived and described where to position myself to photograph their backyard. He said he would come there immediately. I finished, turned off the phone, and went to bed. If something bad was going on with Trent, I didn't want to go through it tonight. I was physically and emotionally exhausted from worrying about my father. I slept soundly and long. The next morning, I turned on my phone. Anderson sent some photos. They turned out worse than I imagined. Photo 1. Anna is completely naked, and Trent is chasing her with his giant erect tool. Photo 2. Naked and excited. Carl grabs Anna's breasts. Photo 3. Anna and Sally, both naked, ass to ass, dancing for Trent and Carl. Photo 4. Trent and Carl have sex with Anna. I didn't need to see anything else. This was irrefutable proof of Anna's infidelity. I had seen the warning signs before, but I didn't believe she would cross that line. It was unforgivable. A black fog clouded my brain. I was simply numb, trying to comprehend what I saw. I told my mom I was going for a walk, Is everything okay, JT? Yes, everything is fine. I didn't want to put all this mess on her because of Dad's health issues. I walked and thought. I cried and thought. I planned and thought. Several hours passed before I returned home. I was deeply saddened, but I decided to end the marriage, minimize my financial damage, and pay back those two idiots, Trent and Carl. First, I had to find out the whole story, and I didn't want Anna to know what I knew. Anna called around noon and was especially kind on the phone. I miss you like your dad will when you come home. I really miss you and I need you. I almost blamed the bitch for what she did at the party, but I kept my mouth shut. I was going to figure out how to fool her. I just had to make a plan. I wanted to protect myself and my assets. I knew I had to act normal around Anna. I told her that my father was getting worse and I needed to stay another week. Dad was actually fine and progressing ahead of schedule. I said that I would call her and that it would be better if she didn't come. It's hard for Dad to bear this excitement. I actually left for the city on Monday evening. I called my old roommate Julian to see if I could stay with him for a few days. He seemed surprised, but agreed. When I got to Julian, he said his brother was arriving from New York on Thursday. His brother was an actor, and the play he was in had closed, and he was considering alternative career options. I explained to Julian what happened and showed him the photographs. He was surprised. He knew that Anna was flirtatious, but he didn't think that she would cheat on me. I told him how upset I was and how I wanted to somehow get even with Anna and this whole group. I also told him that I needed to hide what I knew from Anna until I had a plan. He agreed not to say a word. The next day, I waited at Carl's work. Carl was a diesel mechanic, and he told me there was a supervisory position opening up soon, and he was desperate for a promotion. I saw him walking towards his truck, waved, and said, "Carl, let's get some beer." He was surprised to see me, but Carl didn't turn down beer very often. There was a place on the corner, and we went there. Some kind of tavern for workers, and it was not very crowded. After we ordered beers, I asked him what happened on Saturday night. "Just another typical party," Carl replied. "Is this typical?" And I showed him one of the photographs. "Hey man, what were we supposed to do? The girls took off their clothes. It didn't mean anything." "Okay, I understand that this is nothing special. Oh, by the way, what do you think your boss would say about how this doesn't mean anything?" I knew his boss was very religious and Carl was really hoping for a promotion. He stood up and I stood up. He pushed me threateningly. I turned and hit Carl. It was like hitting a softball. It was perfect. He immediately fell down. There wasn't an iota of fight left in him. I've always noticed that the minute you stand up to a bully, he becomes a coward. Carl was finished. I helped him up. It all happened so quickly that no one in the bar even noticed. And if they did, they didn't care. He started apologizing and blaming others. I told him to shut up and listen. I had a few questions. I also told him that if he didn't want his boss to get the photos, he had to tell me the truth to all my questions, and not let Anna, Sally, or anyone else hear that I knew what was going on. He agreed. He seemed desperate to hide the photos from his boss. We sat for over an hour, and I learned a lot about Anna. Everything he said was believable and had a twisted meaning. Anna, Sally, and Carl all went to high school together. This was one of the socio-economic cross-sections of children. There were the rich, the middle class, and the lower middle class. The group that Anna and Sally were in were made up of poorer children. Around the time girls hit puberty, they also realized the differences in their clothes, their houses, and their parents' cars. Wealthier kids made fun of them for the old-fashioned clothes and old cars their families owned. The great equalizer for girls was their bodies. Anna was gorgeous, and although Sally was a little plump, she had very large breasts. The girls became popular. Carl was pretty sure they had both lost their virginities by the time they turned 15. Later, in high school, Sally told him that she and Anna had had a conversation. It went something like this. Anna told Sally that all she wanted was to have nice clothes, nice cars, and a nice house. She liked sex, so she didn't mind trading sex for material goods. She said she was going to find a man who could provide this. The richer, the better. Carl also told me that at the time Anna and I started dating, she had a boyfriend. She told Sally that she thought my prospects were better. After she started dating me, she continued dating him for almost 3 months before they broke up. You mean she slept with me and her old boyfriend for 3 months? Damn, he said. Since you two got married, I know at least 2 other guys she slept with. And that's besides Trent and me. Who? I don't know all the details, but I know one of them was some nice dude named McCallum or something like that. She said you knew him. It must have been that idiot McAllister we saw at that party before we got married. I just sat there, seething with anger. Carl didn't seem to care. He just continued drinking his beer. There was no doubt that I could not remain married to her. I needed a plan. So you're saying that if someone came along with more money, a better car, and a better house, Anna would rush to him? I'm sure she would have done so. After a few minutes of sitting and thinking, I asked him about Saturday night. What happened to Jackie? Was she involved in this? I haven't seen her in any photographs. Turns out her sister's boyfriend was an asshole and left. Jackie's sister was upset, so Jackie took her home and stayed with her. This opened up the celebration for others. So Jackie doesn't know what happened? No, and don't tell her, he replied. Well, don't you care that your wife has sex with other guys? Wife? We are not married. She always calls me her husband. We've been together for a long time. No, when I get married, it won't be someone like Sally. She's a wonderful girl, and I kind of love her. But she's not the one I'm marrying. That's why we don't have children. It was time to leave. I had a lot to think about. Here are the key facts. 1. Anna was more than promiscuous. 2. The main reason she was with me was financial security, and she would have left if a better prospect came along.